deficient, have low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Happy New Year. Hello, this is Marge Lauber, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the current issues of the Dunkirk Observer on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Now, the first one we're going to read is from Tuesday, December 30th. And Silver Creek agrees to lease with the fire district. So in Silver Creek, for the next 2 years, the Silver Creek Fire Department is not going anywhere. The village board approved a 2-year lease with the Bay Creek Fire District to allow for the Silver Creek Fire Department to continue operating out of its current fire hall owned by the village of Silver Creek. We will be going from owning a fire department to working with the fire department. The Silver Creek squad, for the time being, is going to remain housed in their current location, said Silver Creek Mayor Jeff Hornberg. The agreement is a 2-year lease of the space through 2027, with an option for the district to extend for another 2 years upon expiration of the lease. If the district wishes to continue, the cost to rent the facilities for the first year of the agreement is $24,000. And also they have the New York State Coalition on Open Government released its Naughty and Nice list on December 18th in its annual holiday season attempt to highlight failures in government transparency. Paul Wolf, who is the president emeritus of the organization, offered a presentation online about the list. He said Democrats and Republicans in government across New York State are equally bad when it comes to openness in their dealings. No one from Chautauqua County made either the naughty or the nice list this year, but plenty of people in places did in Western New York overall. The town of Evans in southern Erie County made the list. Wolf alleged the town secretly settled a defamation lawsuit filed by a former town supervisor. It never appeared on a meeting agenda. It was never voted on, he said. Buffalo was on the list for long-term difficulty in getting responses to document requests under the Freedom of Information Act. Niagara Falls Mayor Robert Rosentino also made the list over FOIL requests. Rosentino reportedly had declared he will ignore FOILs from a newspaper whose coverage he does not like. It's his third time on the naughty list in 4 years of its existence. Okay, and unfortunately we have some obituaries here. Tina Armstrong, she was 56, a Youngs Road in Conestoga Valley, passed away December 26th. Josephine Christopher passed away. Shirley Zenitz, she was 82 in Mayville. She passed away. Okay, and we have some local regional news. Again, from the FOIL. The FOIL request also got Erie County Sheriff John Garcia onto the naughty list. We're continuing this. He was sued over failure to comply with the law. Wolf stated there was a lot of issues and requests from local media about information pertaining to Erie County Sheriff's Department employees' alleged drunk driving incident. Wolf said the state Senator Patrick Galvin hit the naughty list for introducing a bill that would require a court's approval for access to public records. Wolf said that the state's top court ruled that the public is entitled to such records. When she began governor, Kathy Hochul, she's a lister too. When she became governor, she promised a new era of transparency. And that hasn't happened, Wolf said. She talks a lot, but when she acts, she does the opposite. Hochul has voted 2 FOIL reform bills. So not much good has come from Governor Hochul in regards to open government. Okay, in the next issue, the same issue, but the next article, the Climber principal reports on courses required in the next 2 years. So in Climber, as the current year draws to a close, the current school year continues on, but Climber's building principal, Brianne Fideli is already looking forward to some items to prepare for next school year, including the beginning of getting scheduling ready and a new course that the school will be required to implement. During her report at the December Board of Education meeting, Fideli said they have begun work with the guidance counselor on some scheduling items for next year, including updating the course catalog. Letters will be going out to homes around January on the process so the guidance counselor can begin meeting with students. Something new that we have to incorporate, we have a financial literature course that is required to be implemented starting next school year, Fideli said. From my understanding, students need to have taken the course by the end of their middle school band and 7th grade through 12th grade. Fideli said they are working to phase that into student schedules for next year, probably aiming to do that for junior and senior students that their schedules have a little bit more flexibility. The course is similar to one of the schools already doing called Business Math, and Fideli said she believed it would be looking at things like loans. I don't think it's going to be a stretch for us to do it, but it's just a matter of how we build this into what we're doing and making sure no one is slipping through the cracks, Fideli said. A second required course that is set to be implemented in 2 years is climate education, which students have to begin learning in kindergarten through 4th grade. So, 2 new things coming down the pipe that we're going to have to do, Fideli said. We teach science, so I feel like we already do that, but whatever, we will roll with it, and we'll make sure that we've got it on. Fideli also included in her report that it's budget season, and they're beginning to work on that for next year, and that the school is done with all of their fall time drills for the season, such as fire and lockdown drills, until the weather permits. And the last news, let's see. There was a Westfield man, Sean Sattel, who was charged with 2 counts of menacing a police officer on Christmas Eve. Westfield police reported about 7:25 p.m. on Wednesday, patrols were dispatched to 7378 Route 20 in the town of Westfield for a reported domestic dispute. After the initial investigation, Sean Satelli, 38, began arguing and went inside the residence. When patrols were able to make contact with Sinelli again, he was standing in the foyer area with a long gun-style rifle in an aggressive manner. Patrols retreated from the doorway to cover, where numerous verbal commands were given. Satelli did eventually comply with commands and was taken into custody without further incident. Well, so they need foster parents in Chautauqua County. In Mayville, the Chautauqua County Department of Mental Hygiene and Social Services is seeking compassionate individuals and families to become foster parents and help provide safe, supportive homes for children in our community. Through the department's home finding team, prospective foster parents receive guidance and support as they explore opening their hearts and homes to children who may not have their basic needs met or a safe place to call home. Foster parents play a critical role by providing temporary, stable, and nurturing care for children who are placed in foster care and remain in custody of the department. Currently, Chautauqua County has approximately 45 traditional non-kinship foster homes. Many of these homes are full, and the need continues to grow as nearly 100 children are presently in the county's care. Children in foster care range from infancy through age 18 and may have medical, physical, or emotional needs. They come from all racial and ethnic backgrounds and may be placed individually or as part of a sibling group. To help community members learn more about becoming a foster parent, the department will host an informational session on Thursday, January 15th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. at the South County Office Building at 110 East 4th Street in Jamestown. Please use the front employee entrance at East 4th Street and proceed up the stairs. A virtual option will also be available. Now we'll move on to, let's see, this is Wednesday, December 31st and Thursday, January 1st issue. So officials are seeking less travel as more snow's on the way. So first it was the high winds then came the snow, just as expected before the New Year's holiday. According to the National Weather Service on Monday, these totals were reported. And Jamestown had 4.5 inches, Mayville 4.3 inches, Faulkner 4.5 inches, Randolph 4 inches, Bemis Point 3 inches, Cassadaga 2.8 inches, Perrysburg 6 inches, and Silver Creek 9 inches. More was on the way. Due to blowing and drifting snow, whiteout conditions are occurring, with visibility reduced to near zero at times. And that was on New Year's Eve, I believe. So, annual first day hike is Thursday, so imagine Forestville is ready to celebrate the new year with a long-standing tradition, and anyone's welcome to bundle up and hit the trail. Okay, and that was last week. Unfortunately, we also have some deaths to report here in this issue. Mary Seibert, who was 93 of Silver Creek, passed away on March 13th, 2025. March 13th, okay. Josephine Christopher had passed away. She was 104 from Fredonia. Good for her. Jack LeBaron Sr., 85. He had lived in Florida, but did live in Fredonia. Francis Rayner, who was 90 of Mayville, passed away on December 26th. And Kevin Arnold, who was only 39 of South Hill Creek Road in Cherry Creek, died Saturday on the 27th. Wow. Okay, so there's all kinds of stuff going on here. Let's see what our next thing could be. In our local and regional news, retiring Roger Tory Peterson Institute CEO reflects on years in his position. So as Arthur Pearson's time as Chief Executive Officer of the Roger Tory Peterson Institute comes to an end, Pearson is looking back on his time in the position fondly while looking forward to his retirement and the future of RTPI. It's really bittersweet, Pearson said. I've had a wonderful time in the last few years, and I've been in this position. We have a great staff and board and have many great accomplishments. I've had a great time, and the RTPI has a great vision moving forward. The organization is in a good place to welcome a new leader that can help build on our success and take the organization in a new leap going forward. Pearson began his tenure as CEO in March of 2020, right at the beginning of the COVID-19 epidemic. So Pearson noted right off the bat that his first order of business was helping the organization to navigate that, along with also dealing with an accidental electrical fire at that time as well. Other notable items during his time at the RTPI included developing a new strategic plan to help them realize the Institute's potential as an educational museum, launching their significant annual exhibit, Art and Matters of the Planet. It helps to honor Roger Tory Peterson's legacy and nurture the next generation of natural artists, and launching other new programs such as the Summer Soiree, Roger's Bird Day Bash Music Festival, the Plain Air Festival, and the Holidays at the Lodge event. Most recently, the RTPI also created a large mural downtown to honor Roger Tory Peterson, or as Pearson put it, celebrating a hometown kid who did good. So we have some area police things that have been happening, and this was, like I said, December 31st, January 1st issue. So in Collins at approximately 10:20 a.m. on Tuesday, troopers out of the Collins barracks responded to a possible shooting incident at 3625 Edgewood Drive. A preliminary investigation still ongoing, and the State Police Special Operations Response Team, Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and the Erie County Sheriff's Department are on the scene. The area has been evacuated for safety. Police said there is no public threat outside this area. And then the Jamestown Police Department, Randy J. Wright Jr., 42, of Jamestown, was charged with third-degree assault, aggravated criminal contempt, and criminal obstruction of breathing. At approximately 3 p.m. Monday, officers responded to a reported domestic dispute at a residence on the north side of the city. Upon arrival and during the investigation, It was determined that Wright had struck the victim in the face and had choked him. It was also revealed there was a valid order of protection in place between Wright and the victim. Wright was taken into custody and without further incident and transported to Jamestown City Jail. He is being held pending his arraignment. Then there was Alexander Schultz, 33 of Jamestown, was charged with fifth-degree criminal possession of stolen property. So at about 6:33 p.m. Sunday, officers responded to a downtown address regarding a report of an unwanted person. Upon investigation, it was determined that the individual in question, Schultz, had an active felony arrest warrant issued by the Jamestown City Court. So Schultz was taken into custody without further incident. During a search incident to arrest, officers found a $100 check that did not belong to Schultz. He was being held in the Jamestown City Jail. And then there was a man who was charged after a domestic incident in the city. So a Christmas Eve domestic incident led to a number of charges against a man in the city of Dunkirk. City police reported Monday that at 12:54 a.m., December 24th, they responded to an address on Lincoln Avenue for a report of a dispute with a suspect in possession of a knife. An investigation determined that Joshua Sanchez, no age given, allegedly attacked 2 adult females and a 9-year-old juvenile. During the course of the incident, he also prevented the victims from leaving the residence. Sanchez fled the scene prior to officers' arrival, and a search of the area located Sanchez in a nearby backyard where he then fled from patrol. After a brief foot pursuit, Sanchez was taken into custody. Sanchez was transported to Dunkirk Police Headquarters and charged with 3 counts of second-degree harassment, endangering the welfare of a child, resisting arrest, second-degree obstruction of governmental administration, first-degree criminal contempt, and unlawful imprisonment. Sanchez was arraigned in Dunkirk City Court and remanded to the county jail. Local news is kind of interesting. Hospice reaffirms the commitment to care amid new state law. So New York State moves towards the implementation of medical aid in dying legislation. Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care is reaffirming its unwavering commitment to supporting individuals and families facing terminal illnesses with dignity, respect, and compassion. In a recent issued press release, CHPC notes that it has walked alongside patients and loved ones in our community during some of life's most vulnerable moments. While end-of-life options in New York State are evolving, our mission remains the same: to provide expert care, comfort, and emotional support to those confronting serious illness and loss. Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care does not participate in the provision or administration of medical aid in dying medications. It will comply with state requirements and respond respectfully to patient questions while keeping our focus on the full spectrum of hospice services, including care that eases suffering, fosters connection, and honors personal values at the end of life. As the medical aid in dying law moves forward, CHPC recognizes the importance of a clear, compassionate guidance. It has developed educational materials to help patients and families understand the new law and how it intersects with hospice care. For those who choose to explore medical aid in dying, we will continue to offer support, information, and, where appropriate, under law and policy, connections to outside providers. As the only hospice provider in Chautauqua County, CHPC also calls on state leaders to invest more meaningfully in hospice and palliative care infrastructure. Access to high-quality hospice should be a foundational part of end-of-life care strategy, not an afterthought. We believe that most people want to live their final days in peace with comfort, surrounded by those they love, said Mike Testa, CHPC CEO. That is the heart of hospice, and we've honored to make it that possible for hundreds of families each year. Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care has served the residents of Chautauqua County since 1981, providing compassionate, expert care to individuals and families facing terminal and serious illnesses. Through in-home support and our Star Hospice House, we deliver comfort-focused care, guidance, and bereavement services grounded in just dignity and respect. So for more information about hospice services, or if you want to inquire about medical aid and dying education materials, you can call 716-338-0033. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Dunkirk Observer on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. So there's 10 people who were charged in larcenies at the Dunkirk cemeteries. 10 area individuals have been arrested by the City of Dunkirk Police Department following a coordinated investigation into a series of larcenies committed at the local cemeteries. Beginning in October, the Dunkirk Police Department received a report of thefts involving a large number of bronze vases and other gravesite markers taken from grave sites at Willowbrook Cemetery in the city of Dunkirk. Upon further investigation, it was learned that a similar incident had occurred in the town of Dunkirk. Due to the location and nature of the incidents, the department partnered with the New York State Police to conduct a joint investigation. Through coordinated investigative efforts, officers and investigators identified multiple suspects believed to be responsible for the thefts. As a result, 10 individuals were charged with various offenses related to larceny and fourth-degree criminal possession of stolen property, a felony. Additional charges are pending and the investigation is ongoing. They included Hannah Cole, 25 of Brockton, Kimberly Ferguson, 41 of Westfield, Susan Lilly, 52 of Fredonia, Matthew Mulville, 36 of Brockton, Melinda Paleo, 52 of Dunkirk, Derek Saxton, 44 of Westfield, Jared Sykes, 46 of Dunkirk, Jesse Spielman, 36 of Ripley, William Eppinger, 47 of Dunkirk, and Stephen Faulkner, 37 of Dunkirk. Now, you'd think it would be teenagers who are doing this kind of thing, and these are all pretty much middle-aged adults here. So the City of Dunkirk Police Department wishes to thank the New York State Police for their assistance and knowledge, the cooperation of various members of the community and business owners who provided information during the investigation. And now we're moving on to January 2nd. Let's see, there's a new restaurant that's proposed at the Jamestown Airport. The third time is a charm. For the third time in 3 years, a new restaurant is being proposed at the Jamestown Airport. So a public hearing has been scheduled for January 28th at 6:35 at the Chautauqua County Legislative Chambers in Mayville for Archie's Airport Diner, LLC, to rent the airport space. Archie's Airport Diner is seeking a 1-year lease beginning March 1st with the option to renew at the end of the term. The business will be charged $900 a month rent. In November 2024, Basil & Bones, a catering company, was seeking to expand operations and signed a 6-month lease for $400 a month, with the options for a lease extension with an increase in rent. At the time, county officials said Basil & Bones was looking to have a traditional restaurant there, but apparently decided against it once its lease was up. Before Basil & Bones, Studio Catering D had been leasing the restaurant. So a ribbon-cutting ceremony was held in April 2023, but they left in September that same year, and they were paying $500 a month rent. While they were still doing catering from the airport, they were also offering grab-and-go lunch services from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. One of the challenges for a restaurant there is that there are no commercial flights flying in or out of Jamestown. Jamestown has been without commercial air services since 2018. When there were commercial flights out of Jamestown, the Tarmac Cafe had been at the airport, but it left in September 2016 after doing business there for 3 years. In other news, the Collins man was charged in shooting in a standoff. So in Collins, a Collins man is facing attempted murder charges after a 5-hour standoff Tuesday in the town. New York State Police at Collins report the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, that's the FBI, charged Walter Blaze, 57, CBC, with second-degree attempted murder first-degree attempted assault, second-degree assault, and 3 counts of second-degree criminal mischief. At approximately 10:20 a.m., troopers responded to a possible shooting incident at 3625 Edgewood Drive. An investigator determined that Blaze used a firearm and shot at a 23-year-old victim of Gowanda who was plowing the driveway with a tractor. The victim knew he had been shot and ran from the area. Troopers arrived on scene and established a perimeter with Erie County Sheriff's Office and Border Patrol. The area was evacuated, and a perimeter was maintained over 5 hours while negotiating with Blaze. Blaze was taken into custody by the State Police Special Operations Response Team shortly after gas was administered into the residence. The resident was searched, and a Remington 870 12-gauge shotgun was located. The victim was transported to Erie County Medical Center for non-life-threatening injuries. Blaze was arraigned in the town of Brant Court and remanded to the Erie County Holding Center with no bail. And multiple fire departments and EMS assisted in the investigation. Singer Richard Smallwood died at 77. He had several Grammy Awards, I guess. He died at 77 years old. And the latest, the deep sea, remember that Malaysia airline flight 370 that they couldn't never find? Well, the latest deep sea search for missing gets underway. So in Hanoi, Vietnam, a deep sea search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 began in the Indian Ocean on Wednesday, reviving efforts to solve one of aviation's greatest mysteries more than a decade after the jet vanished with 239 people on board. Malaysia's Transport Ministry said Wednesday that a special search vessel, the Amanda 8605, arrived at a designated search area with 2 autonomous underwater vehicles. The location of the search area was not disclosed in the statement. It said the vessel had prepared it for the search in Fremantle Port in West Australia. The government did not specifically mention Ocean Infinity, the company that helmed a previous search and had long been slated to lead the new one. But the craft that the government specified by number has been widely identified maritime and aviation websites as belonging to Ocean Infinity. Earlier in December, the Malaysian government said that the Texas-based marine robotics firm would begin searching targeted areas on the seabed under a renewed no-find, no-fee agreement. Ocean Infinity has confirmed it was resuming the search for MH370, but refused to comment further, citing the important and sensitive nature of the operation. Ocean Infinity previously searched the seabed in 2018 under a similar contract, but found no trace of the plane. The company has said it has since upgraded its technology and refined its analysis. Its CEO Oliver Plunkett said last year the firm was working with multiple experts and had narrowed the search zone to what it believed is the most probable crash site. Earlier this year, Ocean Infinity briefly restated seabed search operations in a new 15,000 square kilometer or 5,800 square mile area of the southern Indian Ocean after receiving approval from Malaysia, but the effort was suspended in April because of poor weather. So the Malaysian Airlines plane disappeared from radar shortly after takeoff from Kuala Lumpur for Beijing on March 8, 2014, and satellite data later showed that the aircraft veered off from its planned route and flew south toward the remote southern Indian Ocean, where investigators believe that it crashed. There has never been an explanation for the course change. A costly and protracted multinational search effort failed to locate the aircraft, though pieces of debris believed to be from the plane later washed up along the East African coast and Indian Ocean islands, and no main wreckage or bodies have ever been recovered. And in the local and state news, Zoran Mamdani will be sworn in as mayor on a Quran at first in New York City history. So, incoming mayor Zoran Mamdani, this is from New York City, will take his oath of office on a centuries-old Quran marking the first time a mayor of New York City has used Islam's holy text to be sworn in and underscoring a series of historic firsts for the city. When the 34-year-old Democrat becomes mayor shortly after midnight in a long-closed subway station beneath City Hall, he'll be the first Muslim, first South Asian, and first African-born person to hold that position. These milestones, as well as the historical Quran he will use for the ceremony, reflect the long-standing and vibrant Muslim population in the nation's most populous city, according to a scholar who helped Mondani's wife, Rema Duwaje, select one of its books. Most of Mondani's predecessors were sworn in a Bible, although the oath to uphold the federal, state, and city constitutions does not require the use of any religious text. And while he has focused heavily on the issue of affordability during his campaign, Mondani was outspoken about his Muslim faith. He frequently appears at mosques across the 5 boroughs as he built a base of support that included many first-time South Asian and Muslim voters. Mondani will place his hand on 2 quorums during the subway ceremony and a third during a subsequent ceremony at City Hall on the first day of the year. 2 belong to his grandfather and grandmother. The third is a pocket-sized manuscript dating to the late 18th or early 19th century that is part of the New York Public Library's Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture collection. That quorum symbolizes the diversity and reach of the city's Muslims, said Habib Abib, curator for Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies at the New York Public Library. It's a small quorum, but it brings together elements of faith and identity in New York City history, Abid said. The campaign hasn't offered more details on the ones from Mondani's grandparents. The manuscript was acquired by Arthur Schomburg, a black Puerto Rican historian whose collection documented the global contributions of people of African descent. Well. So area officials are divided on capture of Venezuelan president. State and area representatives are responding to the capture of the Venezuelan president and the U.S. takeover of the South American country. On Saturday, the U.S. Senator Kristen Gillibrand, a member of the State Armed Services Committee and Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, and the Trump administration said that the Trump administration needs to justify these actions to my fellow members of the Senate Armed Services Committee and explain to the American people how this was a justified act of war against a foreign country. After repeatedly telling me and my colleagues that it was not seeking to do so, the administration must also explain why they will carry out this military operation to perform regime changes without authorization by Congress, and how the United States is trying to run Venezuela indefinitely without putting our service members in harm's way. Beyond this flagrant breach of trust, I remain concerned that the administration's actions are not the end of something, but the beginning of chaos and instability in the region, and threatening our service members, our allies, and American security. U.S. Representative Nicholas Langsworthy of District 23, however, applauded the action taken by the president. The capture of Nicolas Maduro marks an important step towards dismantling the narco-terror network that have fueled violence, corruption, and the flow of illegal drugs in the United States. This outcome is a result of decisive action by President Trump, who has made clear that the United States will confront criminal regimes that threaten our security and destabilize our region. This is what peace through strength looks like: clear resolve backed by action. The message to dictators, terrorists, and transitional criminal organizations is unmistakable. There is no safe harbor for those who seek to harm the United States or the American people. Nicolas Maduro was never a legitimate leader. He was the head of a criminal cartel masquerading as a government. History shows that when narco states threaten regional stability and American security, the United States has acted before. George President H.W. Bush's decision to remove Manuel Noriega established that criminal regimes will not be tolerated. Today's action follows the same principle: accountability, the rule of law, and the defense of peace through strength. And I'm sorry if there was a lull. I forgot to press a button. In this January 5th issue, there are some area police things that happened. In Chautauqua at 4:34 p.m. Saturday, the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office and North Lake Fire Department responded to a snowmobile accident in the area of McKay Road. As a result of the accident, one male was transported by North Lake to UPMC Hammett in Erie, Pennsylvania for non-life-threatening injuries. MINA at around 9:08 p.m. on Friday, the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office conducted a traffic stop on Route 426, and the operator was identified as Austin M. Smith West. Further investigators found West to be driving while intoxicated. He was charged with DWI. DWI per se speed in zone and failed to stop at a stop sign. He will answer to charges in the town of Minna Court later. And then again in Chautauqua at 7 p.m. Saturday, Donald Foley, 38, of Woolbury, Ohio, was southbound on a snowmobile trail when he was ejected going around a curve and struck a tree. Oh dear. He was transported to UPMC Hammett and Erie for treatments of injuries. And then in Jamestown, Cameron D. Darling, 21, was charged with fourth-degree criminal mischief. At around 11:46 p.m. Saturday, officers responded to a West Side address for a domestic dispute, and through an investigation, it was found that Darling took her cell phone from the victim, preventing them from calling the police during an altercation. Darling was being held pending arraignment. And then there was a Ralph Patterson III, who was 45 of Jamestown, was charged with first-degree criminal contempt on a prior conviction. At approximately 9:33 p.m. Saturday, officials responded to an address on the west side of the city for a reported domestic incident involving an in-progress violation of an order of protection. Upon investigation, it was determined the suspect, Patterson, intentionally and knowingly entered the projected subject's residence while the protected subject was home. Patterson remained inside the residence for a brief period of time before fleeing on foot prior to officials arriving. Officers conducted a canvass of the surrounding area and located Patterson a short distance away from the residence. Patterson was taken into custody without incident. Patterson was transported to the Jamestown City Jail without incident, where he was held pending arraignment. And then there was a Wendy Merle, 49 in Jamestown, and she was charged with petty larceny. So at about 9:24 p.m. Friday, officers responded to a report of shoplifting at the Tops Fairley Market, located on Foote Avenue. During the investigation, it was determined that Merle had concealed $59.52 worth of merchandise on her person and left the store without paying. Merle was taken into custody without incident and transported to Jamestown City Jail. So she was subsequently released to return to court later on. And then there were 3 who faced drug charges after a traffic stop. 3 Jamestown residents are facing drug charges after a traffic stop early Friday. So around midnight, officials from the Jamestown Police Department observed a moving violation on the southeast side of the city. Through an investigation, it was found that Taylor S. Hernandez, 31, was in possession of 67.9 grams of methamphetamine and 42.7 grams of fentanyl. It was also discovered that Bradley M. McKay, 31, was in possession of 40 grams of methamphetamine and a quantity of fentanyl. The operators of the vehicle, Zachary C. Clark, 57, was found to be in possession of 10 grams of methamphetamine. Each subject was arrested and transported to Jamestown City Jail, where they were held pending arraignment. Hernandez was charged with felony second-degree criminal possession of a controlled substance and 2 counts of felony third-degree criminal possession of a controlled substance. McKay was charged with 2 counts of third and seventh-degree criminal possessions of a controlled substance and Clark was charged with third-degree criminal possession of a controlled substance and 2 issues of traffic violations. And then there's some things that are coming up. Let's see. Today is Thursday the 8th. So today we have a knitting group at Trinity Episcopal Church at 11 o'clock. Patterson Library presents a book talk at 4 p.m. Dunkirk Elks has bingo today. Doors open at 5 and starts at 7. There's an Al-Anon group meeting, Harvest Chapel, Free Methodist Church. Patterson Library, after dark, they have a teen ween after dark hide and seek. That's at 40 South Pilot Road in Westfield. Northern Chautauqua has an amateur radio club meeting at the Fredonia Technology Incubator at 214 Central Avenue in Dunkirk. That would be at 7 o'clock. Lakeshore Center for the Arts have an open mic session. That's at 49 South Pottage Road at 7 p.m. And attendees can share their poetry, prose, or music selections. And they have a Narcotics Anonymous meeting at 219 Central Avenue, Fredonia from 8 to 9. It's free. Then on Friday, which is tomorrow, Robert H. Jackson Center presents The President and the Justice. Harry S. Truman, Robert Jackson, and the Pursuit of Justice at Nuremberg. Well, that sounds pretty good. It's a virtual event presented by Dr. Sam Rushy. It's from 12 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Robert Jackson Center presents 25 years of asking questions, so we still believe in free speech. That's at 304 East 4th Street in Jamestown at 6 p.m. And then on Saturday on the 10th, there's Sean Strong's Tricky People's Kids Safety Workshop. Valley Outdoors at 16 South Main Street, or Route 16, Cassadaga. 9 to 12, ages 5 plus, it's $50 a child, and limit 20 a class. Then Fredonia has a farmer's market at the Masonic Lodge at 321 East Main Street for 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And they're going to have food vendors, crafts, artisans, prepared foods for sale. And the market welcomes cash, credit cards, and SNAP benefits. The Audubon Community Natural Center presents Snow Scientist. It's at 1600 Riverside Road, Jamestown, ages 3 to 8 with an adult. The adults are $12, Nature Center members are $9, and children 3 to 8 are $9. And they're doing indoors and outdoors. Lakeshore Humane Society Saturday has opened adoption hours, looking for some animals, dogs, cats. And winter festivals at Bemis Point Golf Club and Tap House at 72 Main Street in Bemis Point. From 12 to 6, they have a live music with a Black Widow, Christmas tree bonfire, food, beer, cocktail specials, winter activities for all ages. That looks pretty good. This is all going on Saturday. The 13th Annual Library Lock-In, Hull House Research Center at 73 Forest Avenue, 12 to 10 p.m. Fenton History Center's skilled research staff volunteers will help attendees discover family roots. Also, there's going to be food and prizes, and that's $30 a person. And let's see, Aspire West New York on Ice, Northwest Arena at 319 West 3rd Street in Jamestown, 1 to 4 p.m. $25 at general admission, $35 at the door. Kids, $10 ages 5 to 10, under 5 are free. The Sleigh and Wagon Rides at Chautauqua Institute at 10 Roberts Drive, 1 to 3 p.m. $5 for adults and $3 for children. This is all Saturday. Trinity Unity Church of Christ has a free community meal. It's on Park Street in Gowanda from 4 to 6 or until gone. Take out only menu, homemade soup, free with donations are appreciated, but not necessary. And the Great UUCNC has a chili cook-off. It's at 222 Temple Street in Fredonia at 5 p.m. It's open to the public, and the entry fee is $10, includes admission. Event admission $20 for adults and $5 for kids. Tickets are at the door. On Sunday, this Sunday, January 11th, they have sleigh and wagon rides at Chautauqua Institution Attend Roberts Drive 1 to 3 p.m. $5 for adults, $3 for kids. On Tuesday, January 13th, Robert H. Jackson Center presents Living Voices, Hear My Voice. It's at 305 East 4th Street in Jamestown from 9 to 10 a.m. A story of a young woman in the early 1900s and her fight for women's suffragette. The Memory Cafe with Andrea Dominio, chair yoga. So they're going to be doing yoga in Jamestown. Casadego American Legion Weekly Bingo. It's at 1 p.m. St. Joseph's Bingo. It's on Main Street in Fredonia. The doors open at 5. Bingo starts at 7. Then they have Children in the Stream Youth Fly Fishing Program. Sunny Fredonia Rockfield Arts Center. Costello Room from 7 to 8:30 p.m. It's open to children over 12. Younger if they're accompanied by an adult. Facility staff and community members of all ages. Classes, supplies provided at no cost, and no long-term commitment is needed. And this is all taking place on Tuesday. The Catholic Men Faith Fellowship meeting at TLV Center at 296 Lakeshore Road in Dunkirk. They have a meeting at 7 p.m. And Wednesday, January 14th, Tops New York 890 meeting, the First United Presbyterian Church at 35 Park Place, Silver Creek. Have weigh-ins beginning at 8:45 a.m. Tops is obviously something like a Weight Watchers, I assume. Robert H. Jackson Center presents Living Voices, Hear My Voice, 304 East 4th Street. That's it, same one, a story of a young woman in the early 1900s and her fight for women's suffragette. And that's all the events that I have on here. And then, last but not least, first of all, you are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Dunkirk Observer on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. So, Rubino says that the U.S. won't cover Venezuela but will press for charges for oil blockade. So in Washington, Secretary of State Marco Rubio suggested Sunday that the United States would not govern Venezuela day to day other than enforcing an existing oil quarantine on the country. A turnaround after President Donald Trump announced a day earlier that the U.S. would be running Venezuela following its ouster of leader Nicolas Maduro. Rubino's statements on TV talk show seemed designed to temper concerns about whether the assertive American action to achieve regime change might again produce a prolonged foreign intervention or failed attempt at nation building. They stood in contrast to Trump's broad but vague claims that the U.S. would at least temporarily run the oil-rich nation, comments that suggest some sort of government structure under which Caracas would be controlled by Washington. Rubino offered a more nuisance take, saying that the U.S. would continue to enforce an oil quarantine that was already in place on sanctioned tankers before Maduro was removed from power early on Saturday, and use that leverage as a means to press policy changes in Venezuela. And so that's the sort of control the president is pointing to when he said that, Rubino said on CBS, Face the Nation. We continue with that quarantine, and we expect to see that there will be changes, not just in the way the oil industry is run for the benefit of the people, but also so they stop the drug trafficking. The blockade on sanctioned oil tankers, some of which have been seized by the U.S., remains in place, and that's a tremendous amount of leverage that will continue to be placed until we see changes that not just further the nation's interest in the United States, which is number one, but also that lead to a better future for the people of Venezuela, he added. Leaders in Venezuela have so far pushed back, at least publicly, calling on the Trump administration to release Maduro. Even before the operation that nabbed Maduro, experts were already questioning legitimacy of aspects of the administration's pressure campaign on Venezuela, including the deadly bombing of boats accused of trafficking drugs that some scholars say stretch the boundaries of international law. Trump repeated vow the U.S. would run Venezuela. Trump's vow to run Venezuela repeated more than half a dozen times in a news conference in Florida on Saturday, sparked concerns among some Democrats. It also drew unease from parts of his own Republican coalition, including an American First base that is opposed to foreign interventions, and also from observers who recalled past national building efforts in Iraq and Afghanistan. Rubio dismissed such criticisms, saying that Trump's intent has been misunderstood. The whole foreign policy apparatus thinks everything is Libya, everything is Iraq, everything is Afghanistan, Rubio said. This is not the Middle East, and our mission here is very different. This is the Western Hemisphere. Rubio also suggested the U.S. donate or give Maduro's subordinates, now in charge, time to govern, saying in charge time to govern, saying, we're going to judge everything by what they do. And though he did not rule out boots on the ground in Venezuela, Rubio said the U.S., which has built up its presence in the region, was already capable of stopping drug boats and sanctioned tankers. A day later, Trump told reporters, we're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. He later pointed to his national security team with him, including Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and said it would be done for a period of time by the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. The White House declined to comment beyond what Trump said Saturday. So Maduro landed late Saturday afternoon in a small airport in New York City's northern suburbs, following the middle-of-the-night operation that extracted him and his wife, Celia Flores, from their home in a military base in the capital city of Caracas, an act that Maduro's government called imperialistic. The couple faces U.S. charges of participating in a narco-terrorism conspiracy. The dramatic seizure of the Marcos capped an intensive Trump administration pressure campaign on Venezuela's autocratic leader and months of secret planning, resulting in the most assertive American action to achieve regime change since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Legal experts raised questions about the lawfulness of the operation, which is done without congressional approval. Venezuela Vice President Delcy Rodriguez demanded that the U.S. free Maduro and called him the country's rightful leader as her nation's high court named her interim president. So did the country's defense minister, General-in-Chief Vladimir Pedrino L. Perez, who said Sunday that the country's armed forces categorically reject the cowardly kidnapping. Maduro is due to make his first appearance Monday in Manhattan's federal court. Maduro and other Venezuela officials were indicted in 2020 on narco-terrorism conspiracy charges, and the Justice Department released a new indictment Saturday of Maduro and his wife that painted his administration as a corrupt, illegitimate government fueled by a drug trafficking operation that flooded the U.S. with cocaine. The U.S. government does not recognize Maduro as the country's leader. The Trump administration spent months building up American forces in the region and carrying out attacks on boats in the Caribbean Sea and eastern Pacific Ocean for allegedly ferrying drugs. Last week, the CIA was behind a drone strike at a docking area believed to have been used by Venezuelan drug leaders and cartels. The first known direct operation on Venezuela's soil since the U.S. campaign began in September. Venezuela's capital remained unusually quiet Sunday, with few vehicles moving around and convenience stores, gas stations, and other businesses closed. A road typically filled with runners, cyclists, and other fitness enthusiasts on Sunday only had a handful of people working out. The presidential palace was guarded by armed civilians and members of the military. At a nearby plaza, only a street sweeper and a soldier stood, and across the street, a church remained closed for a second day in a row. Under Venezuelan law, Rodriguez would take over from Maduro. Rodriguez, however, stressed during a Saturday appearance on state television that she did not plan to assume power. Before Venezuela High Court ordered that she assume the interim role. Trump told The Atlantic in an interview Sunday that Rodriguez would pay a very big price if she doesn't do what he thinks is right for Venezuela. That contrasted with the Republican president's comments about Rodriguez on Saturday when he said Rubio had spoken with her and she was willing to do what the U.S. thinks is needed to improve the standard of living in Venezuela. So Trump told the magazine that if she doesn't do what's right, she's going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. Trump told the New York Post in an interview Saturday that the U.S. wouldn't need to station troops in Venezuela if she does what we want. Caracas resident David Lill arrived at the lot where he parks vehicles for a living only to quickly realize that he could likely not see any clients for a day. People are still shaken, he said. So back to some local news here. In Asheville, with the initial first steps of the Clymer-Sherman-Panama merger feasibility study underway, the next step comes at the beginning of this month with the official kickoff meeting for the public. The meeting is scheduled for Thursday at 5 o'clock at the Bosse's Hughes Center. That's at 2615 North Maple Avenue in Nashville. It's slightly different from the previous held CSP Joint Board of Education meetings. At this meeting, it's specifically a public meeting and not a formal board meeting, so the boards will not be conducting official business. So the CSP Merger Study Project Coordinator, Shelley O'Boyle, said the January 8th meeting will serve as the official launch of the study, where the boards will introduce the independent consulting firm White & Partners and their dedicated team who will be conducting the study with expertise and impartiality. Additionally, White & Partners are provided a comprehensive overview of the study and what it will deliver, O'Boyle said. The public will walk away with an understanding of the 7 areas that the study will analyze and timeline on the study progress. People should be interested both in the study and coming to the meeting, O'Boyle said, as the merger feasibility study focuses on the future quantity of education for the students and the future fiscal impact on their communities. The study is set to objectively analyze the potential benefits and challenges of combining school districts, providing data to school boards and communities on financial stability, improved educational opportunities like advanced courses, special education, facility use, transportation, and tax impacts, ultimately guiding the decision on whether a merger is viable and beneficial for students and taxpayers. So in Sherman Central School District Board of Education members learned that they're meeting in December that the district is currently the only one in the area without either a school resource officer or a school safety advisor. So the district superintendent, Carrie Yohe, told the board that there are 3 options open to the district. The first option should be a full-time SRO through Chautauqua County at an estimated cost of $120,000, she said. Yohe noted that Panama has chosen this option. Yohe told board members that Clymer and Chautauqua Lake have opted to have school safety advisors. This is a civil service position where an individual needs to have 60 semester credit hours in criminal justice, law enforcement administration, or related fields, and 5 years of paid full-time experience in law enforcement, she said. The contract would be directly with the district, providing the district with more control over the salary compared to an SRO arrangement, she added. A couple minutes left here, and it says today in history. So today is Monday, January 5th, the 5th day of 2026. There's about 360 days left in the year. So on January 5th, 1933, construction began on the Golden Gate Bridge, and the bridge was completed in May of 1937. Also on this date, in 1896, an Austrian newspaper reported the discovery by German physicist Wilhelm Röntgen of a new type of radiation that came to be called X-ray. In 1925, Democrat Nellie Taylor Ross of Wyoming took office as America's first female governor. In 1953, Samuel Beckett's 2-act tragedy Waiting for Godot, considered a classic of the theater of the absurd, premiered in Paris. In 1957, David Eisenhower proposed assistance to countries to help them resist communist aggression in what became known as the Eisenhower Doctrine. In 1972, President Richard Nixon announced the Space Shuttle program, directing NASA to produce a reusable vehicle that would boost manned space exploration or
The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another